Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today I'm going to be attempting to make canelé. Canelé are little diminutive pastries that come from France, originally from Bordeaux, and they look absolutely lovely. They are made in these beautiful fluted molds, traditionally made out of copper. You pour a batter in, you bake them, and they develop a beautiful golden mahogany crust on the outside, and inside is supposed to be tender and almost pudding-like in consistency, often infused with vanilla and rum. I mean, with this description, like, how could you not ever want to taste one of these? I've never had one before. Someday I hope to go to Bordeaux myself and actually have one of these, but until then, I'm going to be attempting to make them at home. I looked at many recipes and I'm going to be adapting Chef Step's version of canelé. I'll put the original link down below. So how did I arrive to canelé? Well, I had French friends who recommended them, saying they were the most delicious pastry ever. And it was in the back of my mind. I forgot about it, but then beekeeping came and I was looking up recipes and things to do with beeswax because I do keep bees. I'll put a link down below to my other channel which documents my adventures in beekeeping. So beeswax was traditionally used to line the molds to release the lovely pastries. Aren't these gorgeous? They're copper on the outside. They have these beautiful flutes. So copper, of course, is a very conductive material and it will grab onto the heat in the oven very, very quickly. So that will give us a crisp crust. That little bit of yellow there and the yellow at the bottom is beeswax. So I purchased these molds. They were shipped to me from France. These are so expensive, about $35 per mold. Very expensive. They will last a lifetime, and I really hope this works. You can find molds that are less expensive, like silicone molds, and molds that are made out of different types of metal, but I really wanted the traditional experience, so I purchased these. These need to be seasoned, just like you would season a cast iron pan. We really need the canelé to release. Chef Steps recommends seasoning these with oil by simply deep frying them and allowing them to cool in oil. Because I have beeswax and I wanted to use the beeswax and follow the kind of traditional method, decided to season these with beeswax. The process is pretty simple. You heat up your oven to 350 degrees and place your molds on a tray and put them in the oven for 2 minutes. Meanwhile, you've got about 50 grams of beeswax melting in a double boiler. Take your molds out of the oven, fill one of the molds with your melted beeswax, and then transfer it to another mold. Take the first one and turn it upside down onto a rack to allow the excess wax to drip out. Continue pouring the wax into each mold and then turning it over to allow it to drain. You're going to turn the molds right side up and then place them in the oven and continue baking them for another 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, take them out, allow them to cool, and then repeat the whole process one more time. So now our molds are lightly lined with beeswax. This will give us a non-stick finish. It will also impart some of that lovely aroma that comes with beeswax. It's a sweet, beautiful smell. It reminds me of inspecting my hives. It's just such a beautiful smell. Oh, love it so, so very much. So I've got chilled molds and I've got some melted butter. Take a pastry brush and I'm going to brush the inside of the mold liberally with butter. There we are. So I read a lot of recipes on how to make canelé and almost all of them recommended allowing the batter to rest for several hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, even 72 hours. So I made this batter in advance because I really want this recipe to work out. Chef Steps says you don't have to, although when I was reading the comments, a lot of people said they had problems with poofing and then they recommended allowing the batter to rest. So I've allowed my batter to rest and let me show you what I did to make it. It's actually very simple. So in a saucepan, you're going to add 750 grams of whole milk and 70 grams of butter. You're going to heat this on medium-low until the butter is completely melted. Next, to your blender, you're going to add 375 grams of sugar, 225 grams of bread flour, 100 grams of eggs, which worked out to be about 5 egg yolks, 75 grams of dark rum, and 4 grams of salt. If you're looking for a printable recipe or volumetric conversions, I'll put a link down below to my website where you can find that. Now you're going to turn your blender on low and slowly add your milk and butter mixture. Resist the urge to increase the speed on your blender. Many recipes I read not to over aerate the batter. Next, you're going to take a vanilla bean pod, slice it in half, and gently scrape all those precious seeds out. Add that to the batter and give it a final whiz. Allow the batter to cool to room temperature and then place it in the refrigerator and chill it and let it rest for 12 hours, 24 hours. You can even wait up 72 hours. So I'm gently giving it a stir. I've got a baking pan lined with some foil and a rack, and we're going to place that right onto a scale. Now we're going to fill each one to 20 grams. Boop, 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 boop. So I was under the impression that I had the smaller molds, but I just filled this to 24 grams and it's only halfway. I'm just going to go with 40 grams for each one and roll with that. Now I'm going to place these in a preheated oven at 360 degrees set on convection. On the bottom rack, it even says what level to cook it at, and it says for 1 hour. Alrighty, my lovelies, it just beeped. I'm going to grab the canelés. Now I put these in for an extra 10 minutes because they need to be really dark on top and mine were not. Now we have to unmold these while these are hot, otherwise they will stick. So here we go. Fingers crossed they come out. Oh, look, they shouldn't be that color on top. At least they came out. Ooh, I just banged that one. Okay, be careful when you unmold them. So I have plenty of batter. I'm going to redo this, make some adjustments. I'm going to increase the temperature to 375, continuing with convection cooking. Alrighty, so I'll see you in another hour. Alrighty, my lovelies. T-minus 1 minute, 4 seconds. Let's hope this batch of canele works out. Don't fail me. Don't fail me now. Look at these beauties. Oh, they're still too light. I'm going to use 35 grams instead of 40 grams. I'm going to cook at 375. The color looks pretty good, but I think for the last 10 minutes, I'm going to take the canele off this rack and put them directly on the oven rack in the oven so that they can have a little bit more direct heat. Okay, see you in another hour. Okay, my lovelies, round number 3, T-minus 27 seconds. Hopefully this one will work. So at 8 minutes left, I took the canele off the rack, put them directly onto the baking rack so they could get some direct heat. So hopefully we'll get a nice golden top. We shall see. Sticking? Oh, that one's not as good. Oh, this one was so perfect. I thought all of them were gonna look like that. Oh, and I got one perfect canele, and yeah, the others, pretty similar results as before. So I still have more batter. I'm gonna continue doing this. And I'm gonna go with the 35 grams. I think that was the right amount for the containers. Yes, I think placing them directly on the rack is the way to go, but I'm gonna put them right above the heating unit. And I'm going to bake them for a full 10 minutes instead of the 8. Alrighty, we're gonna do this again. See you in another hour. Curses. Okay, my lovelies, round 4 has just beeped. Let's grab them out of the oven. Alrighty, let's take these out and hopefully we did it. Okay, these are the best ones so far. These are pretty inconsistent, but they are the best ones so far. Not perfect by any means. Here are the other 3 batches I made. First batch, second batch, third batch. Second batch was definitely undercooked. First batch, now that I have these others to compare with, actually didn't turn out too badly. Third batch, a little uneven. This one is what I want. They were not kidding when they said this recipe is tricky, even if you follow it to a T. This pan that I'm using is a broiling pan. It is not an aluminum pan, so I suspect that's perhaps where I could have gone wrong. My canele are not perfect. At any rate, sometimes perfection is overrated. Am I right? Am I right? Here are the results of my 4 different batches from beginning to end, and I think the last batch was as close as I'm going to get to success. Still not perfect, but at this point I am ready to taste these. And let's go ahead and cut these in half. Pretty stinking beautiful if you ask me. Look at that. Ooh, I like the sounds of that crunch. Finally, I'm going to have my first taste of canele. So let's taste them in the order in which I made them. This is batch number 1. Bon appetit. Mmm. That's lovely. I've never had anything like that before. Did you hear that crunch? It has a lovely crunchy exterior. I can taste a little bit of that beeswax flavor, definitely the butter, definitely the rum and the vanilla. It's lovely. The texture inside is moist, slightly sticky, a little bit bread-like, drier than a custard, but it has that same kind of custardy richness, kind of those eggy, milky flavors. Sweet, but not overly so. It's almost got like a pancakey texture, but more sticky and moist. It's lovely. Okay, let's try number 2. The exterior on this one is not as firm or as crispy, and the interior is moist and more kind of chewy and sticky. The combination of the rum and the vanilla goes so nicely together, along with a slight kind of bitterness from the kind of carbonization that is happening on the bottom or the exterior of the canele. Let's try number 3. This one had a little less batter in it and was cooked at a slightly higher temperature. This one's lovely. I like the crunchy exterior that's not too thick. And the interior is moist, but isn't really chewy or dense. Okay, let's try number 4, the last batch, which we cooked a little bit longer without the pan and at that same higher temperature. Here we go. Then that one was a little bit warm, so you get a little bit more of that kind of custardy flavor. So number 4 was cooked a little bit longer than number 3, so it has a little bit crisper exterior. It also has more pronounced kind of toasted, caramelized flavors, a slight bitterness, which I like. I feel like that really complements the rum, particularly that kind of rummy, toasted flavor along with the vanilla. And the interior still remains moist, but has a little bit more kind of fluff to it than, say, number 2, which was a little bit more dense. Quick lovelies, just a quick one here. I couldn't help myself and I had to do yet another round of canele. I had to sleep on it first. This time I baked it at 360 degrees. I went back to that old temperature. I also went back to the full amount of 40 grams, and these are the results. So better browning around the edges, but the tops still remain very blonde. I put them in for the full 60 minutes, and then I gave them 10 extra minutes directly over the heat, right on the rack. I even rotated them on the rack 180 degrees to try to ensure uniform browning on the top. So I think of all the batches, batches number 5 came out the best, yet they are still not perfect. Itadakimasu. They are delicious. Custardy inside. So my big takeaways from making homemade canele for the first time. Number 1, be prepared to do some problem solving. If your experience is anything like mine, you might run into a few bumps and you might have to make some adjustments. And make sure you carve out an entire day for this, because you know, it takes some time. But in the end, I definitely learned a lot. I finally got to try using these beautiful copper molds. So I think the biggest takeaway for me, that if I find myself in France in the future, particularly in Bordeaux, and if I happen to see a patisserie, I am going to stop in there and I'm going to pick up a canele and I will eat it, and I will be so grateful and appreciative of its perfection because I can appreciate the skill involved in making them. So there you have it, my lovelies, my attempt at making homemade canele. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye! Where that came from? No idea.